Hi guys, in this video we're going to talk about factoring a trinomial with a leading coefficient of 1. At the beginning of the year, we learned how to multiply a binomial by another binomial. Let's take a look at this example. We have x plus 3 times x plus 11. So I'm going to multiply these two binomials together to get a trinomial in the standard form. And we said to be able to multiply these two binomial, I need to use double distribution. And the first distribution starts with multiplying x by x to get x squared, x by 11 to get 11x, 3, that's the second distribution, 3 times x to get 3x, and 3 times 11 to get 33. Looking at this expression, I can see that I have like terms, 11x and 3x are like terms, and we can combine them together. If I combine 11x and 3x together, I'm going to get 14x. So I end up with a trinomial equal to x squared plus 14x plus 33. Now, if we look at the numbers inside the binomials, 3 and 11, we'll find out that the last number of the trinomial, which is 33, is the product of 3 and 11. 3 times 11 equals 33. And that's the product. The middle number of the trinomial is the sum of both factors in the binomials. We have 3 plus 11 equals 14, which is the sum. So there is a connection between the numbers in the binomials and the numbers in the trinomial. Multiplying the number in the binomials together will give us the last number of the trinomial, and adding the numbers in the binomials together will give us the middle number in the trinomial. How is this fact is going to help me when I work backward, going from a trinomial to two binomials? So I know that a trinomial like this trinomial, x squared minus 5x plus 6, can be factored into two binomials. I learned that since I have x squared here, that means that I have x in the first factor and x in the second factor, or binomial. I know that the numbers inside the two binomials has a product of 6 and a sum of -5. And the two numbers that I can think of that if I multiply, I get 6, and if I add, I get -5, is -2 and -3. -2 times -3 is 6, and -2 plus -3 is -5. This means that the numbers inside the binomials are going to be x minus 3 and x minus 2. Let's take a look at this example. We have x squared plus 2x minus 8, and we're trying to factor this trinomial. The first method that we should think of when we try to factor any expression is using GCF to factor. And looking at this trinomial, we do not see any common factors between the terms of the trinomial. which means that GCF is not going to work. The second method that I can use is factoring the difference of perfect squares. And looking at this trinomial, the only perfect square that I see is x squared, and the rest of the terms um, do not include perfect squares. That's why DOPS is not going to work. So the last method that I have to use is guess and check. And it's called guess and check because we guess what the numbers and the factors are, and we check to find out if these numbers work to work together to produce this trinomial. So for guess and check, I'm going to have to come up with two binomials. Each binomial is going to have x because x times x is x squared, and x squared is the first factor or the first term in the trinomial. The second thing I need to do is to find the product of the numbers that I think should be inside the binomials and the sum. So the product of the numbers inside the binomials, looking at the trinomial, is going to be the last term, which is -8. And the sum of the numbers in the binomials is the middle term in the trinomial, which is 2. So I need to think of two numbers. If I multiply together, I get -8. And if I add together, I get 2. And the two numbers that comes to mind when I think about 8 are 4 and 2. But one of them has to be negative. So when I multiply them, I get -8. At the same time, adding these two numbers should give me a 2. So 2 has to be negative. So when I multiply 4 by -2, I get -8. And when I add 4 by -2, I get 2. So now that I guessed the numbers and I checked if they produce the product and the sum in the trinomial, I can put them in the binomial. So I'm going to end up with x plus 4 and x minus